How Creative Ideas Can Change Your Life. By Jim Rohn. The best money spent is the money spent to cultivate the genius of your own mind and spirit. Hear or read something challenging, something instructional, at least 30 minutes a day, every day. You can get along without some meals, but you can't get along without some ideas, examples, and inspiration. Most people are just trying to get through the day. I want you to learn how to get from the day. Every day is a piece of the mosaic of your life. You need to capture the experience, the knowledge, the sights, the sounds, the panorama, the color, and the emotion so they will serve you for the future. Searching for information. If you want your life to change, here's the source of it all: Ideas Plus Inspiration. The good news is, ideas are not that far away. I've got an excellent phrase for you to consider, one that will serve you well for the rest of your life. Everything you need is within reach. The ideas you need for life change or business change are within listening reach. They are within reading reach. In fact, there's probably a library not too far from you. The problem is, most people pass by libraries, very few walk in. Andrew Carnegie set up all these libraries across the country thinking everybody would stop in. But no, almost everybody drives right on by. Do you know how many people own a library card? In the United States? 3%. And guess how much they cost? Nothing. The ideas are within reach. But here's the key question: who is going to reach? There's a simple biblical phrase that says, if you seek, you will find. But it's very important to know that finding is reserved for the seekers. We don't find what we need, we find what we search for. If you will search, if you'll try, if you'll go, if you'll listen, ideas are within reach. And ideas are life-changing. There's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. A business idea, a social idea, an investment idea, a good health idea. All you need is a specific idea to make an impact on your life. Ideas can help you gather treasure, gather equity, and gather wealth. 10 years from now, you can be right where you are now, or you can be in a new place. The difference between now and then could be significant in terms of money, lifestyle, treasure, and equity. In 10 years, you can enjoy an incredible life if right here and now you make a small change in your thinking to start you on the journey. The key is to start right now, gathering the ideas and making the changes that will take you further along this new road. Finding the right combination. Ideas can change your life. And sometimes all you need is just one more good idea in a series of good ideas. It's like dialing the numbers of a combination lock. After you've dialed 5 or 6 numbers, the lock may not come open. But you probably don't need 5 or 6 more numbers. Maybe you need just one more number, one more idea. Maybe a seminar or a sermon can provide it. The lyrics from a song could do it. The dialogue from a movie could do it. Conversation with a friend might do it. If you keep your eyes and ears open, you'll find that one last idea you need. Once you find that idea, the lock comes open, and there's the door for you to walk through. Just one more idea, no matter where you get it, may be all you need to open that door of opportunity. If, however, the lock still doesn't open, you may be lacking in inspiration. Who knows why some people are inspired and some are not? Some people find a great idea and turn it down. Some people say that it costs too much. Some people say that it's going to take too much time. Some people are too busy. There are a lot of different reasons why some people are inspired to take advantage of a good idea while others pass it up. I call it mysteries of the mind. And I just leave it at that. There are some things I don't try to figure out. Some people buy and some don't. Some go for it and some don't. Some change. And some don't. And if you've been around for a while, you can usually spot those who don't take advantage of a good idea. A man asks me, how come all this stuff goes wrong for me? I say, I don't know. Beats me. The most I've been able to figure out is that those kinds of things always happen to people like you. I'll bet he's one of the ones who don't take advantage of good ideas. If he continues on that path, he'll probably never find the right combination. That honor will always fall on the ones who do. Like you.
A constant search for knowledge. The consistent, disciplined, purposeful, constant search for knowledge, it's where the life-changing ideas are. Pursue knowledge with high expectations. Spend the money, time, and effort. They are all investments, but the payoff is so great it's hard to compare the cost to the reward. First is the money. I have a great suggestion. Set up an educational fund for the programs, the books, the lectures, the seminars, and the videos you need for a constant flow of ideas and inspiration. Take a portion of your income each month and set it aside to invest in the search for knowledge. Remember, the best money spent is the money spent to cultivate the genius of your own mind and spirit. Make sure you don't spend more for frivolous comforts and conveniences than you do for education. The money is a small price. The promise is unlimited potential. The next investment is time, which is an extremely valuable expenditure. It's one thing to ask someone for their money, but to ask them for their time is a much more significant request. Knowledge takes time, precious time. The time you spend is irreplaceable. You can get more money, but you can't get more time. However, life has a unique way of rewarding high investment with high return. The major investment of time you're making now could be that small fine-tuning you need for major accomplishment. Last is the investment of effort. There is a great deal of difference between casual learning and serious learning. Learning that opens up the whole mental and spiritual process is truly an investment in effort. And this effort is the investment that opens the floodgates of ideas that can work their magic for you in the marketplace. So I don't hesitate to ask you to spend, in a deliberate and consistent fashion, the money, time, and effort required to reach your goals. These are the investments that turn on the lights, sharpen the focus, and start turning your wishes of wealth and happiness into reality. Accessing the information you need. Let me share with you two of the best sources of information available. First, there are your own experiences. Become a good student of your own life. It's the information you are most familiar with and feel the strongest about, so make your own life one of your most important studies. In studying your own life, be sure to study the negative as well as the positive. Your failures as well as your successes. Our so-called failures serve us well when they teach us valuable information. They're frequently better teachers than our successes. One of the ways we learn how to do something right is simply by doing it wrong. Doing it wrong is a great school for learning, but I would suggest that you not take too long doing this. If you've done something wrong for 10 years, I wouldn't suggest taking another 10. But what a close at hand and excellent way to learn from your own experiences. When I met Mr. Schoaf, I had been working for 6 years. I started when I was 19, and when I met him, I was 25. He said to me, "Mr. Rohn, you have been working now for 6 years. How are you doing?" I said, "Not very well." He said, "Then I suggest you not do that anymore. 6 years is long enough to operate with the wrong plan." Next, he asked, "How much money have you saved in the last 6 years?" I said, "Not any." He said, "Who sold you on that plan 6 years ago?" What a fantastic question. Where did I get my current plan that wasn't working well? Everyone has bought someone's plan. The question is whose? Whose plan have you bought? Those initial confrontations may be a little painful at first, especially if you have made as many errors as I have. But think of the progress you can make when you finally confront those errors by becoming a better student of your own life. The second way to learn is from other people's experiences. Remember, you can learn from other people whether they have done things right or wrong. You can learn from the negative as well as the positive. The Bible is such a great book because it is a collection of human stories representing both sides of the ledger. Some human stories are called examples, do what these people did. Other human stories are called warnings, don't do what these people did. What a wealth of information, knowing what to do and what not to do. If your story ever gets in somebody's book, make sure they use it as an example, not a warning. There are 3 ways to learn from other people. The first is to listen to the programs and read the books by and about people who have accomplished great things. All the successful people around the world I know and work with are good readers. They just read. They are driven to read because they just have to know. It is one of the things they all have in common. Here is an excellent phrase: all leaders are readers.
Successful people also listen to audio programs, especially while they're in the car or during other times when they can't read. Programs can help all of us easily pick up new ideas and skills. Did you know there are programs and books on how to be stronger, more decisive, a better speaker, a more effective leader, have a better effect on other people, become more loving, develop a more winning personality, get rich, develop persuasive influence, become sophisticated, and people don't utilize these resources? How would you explain that? Did you know that hundreds of successful people have written their stories in books and told the world how they became successful, and most people don't want to read or listen to them? How would you explain that? They're busy, I guess. They say, if you worked where I work, you'd know that by the time I struggle home, it's late. I've got to have a bite to eat, watch a little TV, and go to bed. I can't stay up half the night and read. Imagine someone who is behind on his bills. He's a good worker and very sincere. Unfortunately, you can be sincere and work hard all your life and wind up broke, confused, and embarrassed. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good reader and a good listener. You don't have to read or listen to educational programs half the night, although, if you're broke, it's a good place to start. All you need are just 30 minutes a day. That's all. Stretch it to an hour if you can, but set aside at least 30 minutes. Hear or read something challenging, something instructional, at least 30 minutes a day, every day. Miss a meal, but not your 30 minutes. You can get along without some meals, but you can't get along without some ideas, examples, and inspiration. There's a biblical phrase that says, "Man cannot live on bread alone." The most important thing aside from bread is words. Words nourish the mind, words nourish the soul. Humans have to have food and words to be healthy and prosperous. Make sure you have a good diet of words every day. And remember that to properly feed the mind, you must maintain good balance. Don't just read or listen to the easy material. You can't live on mental candy. With good books and programs, you can tap into the treasure of ideas. And if somebody has a good excuse for not tapping into the treasure of ideas for at least 30 minutes every day, I'd like to hear it. You wouldn't believe some excuses I've heard. I say, "John, I've got this gold mine. I've got so much gold I don't know what to do with it all. Come on over and dig." John says, "I don't have a shovel." I say, "Well, John, let's get you one." He says, "Don't you know what they want for shovels these days?" John has the wrong perspective. Don't make the same mistake. Invest the money, get the programs and books. The best money you can spend is money. Invest it in your self-education. Don't shortchange yourself when it comes to investing in your own better future. Building your library. We all need a good library. Mr. Schoaf got me started on mine. Here's one of the books he recommended, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. Schoaf asked me, "Doesn't that title intrigue you? Think and Grow Rich. Who wouldn't need that book?" I found it in a used bookstore and paid less than 50 cents for it, and I've still got it. It's one of my most valued treasures. You can start this process of developing a library like I did. Here's a mindset to guide you as you begin. Your library needs to show that you're a serious student of life, health, spirituality, culture, uniqueness, sophistication, economics, prosperity, productivity, sales, management, skills, and values of all kinds. Let your library show you're a serious student. Your library will become your mental food, your food for thought. It is so important to nourish the mind, not just the body. You've got to be educated. A good book to start with is How to Read a Book, by Mortimer Adler. Adler was the chief editor of the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is also a good set of books to have in your library. In How to Read a Book, Adler gives you some good suggestions on how to not just read a book, but actually get the most information out of it. He also provides a list of the best books ever written, and I've used it as a centerpiece for my library. I'm just telling you what worked for me. If it suits you, fine. If it doesn't suit you, keep looking until you find something that does suit you. Just be sure to keep your library well balanced. Let me give you some examples. Number 1, we've all got to have a sense of history. We need to know about American history, international history, family history, and political history. This sort of knowledge will illustrate for you that the state of one's life rarely changes for the better of its own accord. Once you realize that, the next logical step is to realize that you have to do the changing. History helps us to understand what there is to work with: seed, soil, sunshine, rain. It also tells us what human beings have done with those resources in the past to change their lot in life. You'll find that many of them transformed from non-productive citizens to productive ones. That's what history is for, to learn the lessons of our ancestors. Be a good student of history. The next crucial topic is philosophy. You might find it a little bit difficult to comprehend some aspects of philosophy, but you can't just read and study the easy stuff. Try to tackle the more difficult to comprehend stuff. That's how you grow as a person. Next, novels. Many times, an intriguing story is interwoven with the philosophy that the author is trying to get across. Ayn Rand was probably better at this than anybody else. Atlas Shrugged was a towering novel. It kept us intrigued as Rand was feeding us her philosophy. And you don't need to agree with an author's perspective to benefit from a novel. Here's a little personal advice: skip the trash. Sometimes you can find something valuable in a trashy novel, but I wouldn't take the time to read something trashy just to find it. You can find a crust of bread in the garbage can, but I wouldn't dig through it. There's simply not enough time to read the truly brilliant stuff. Next are biographies and autobiographies. You can read the dramatic stories of both good people and terrible people. You need to understand the balance between good and evil. Get a book on Gandhi and a book on Hitler. One will illustrate the heights of good a human being can accomplish, and the other will illustrate how low and despicable a human being can become. You need to comprehend both sides of the coin. Next, accounting. You've got to have at least a primary understanding of accounting. Kids have got to start learning the difference between a debit and a credit.
And next is law. You don't have to be a lawyer, but you've got to know contracts, what to sign, what not to sign, and how to be safe rather than sorry. All of us need a little law, especially in these complicated times. I learned this the hard way. Some time ago, a company I was affiliated with in Canada wanted to borrow money. They needed $250,000. The bank said, yes, we will loan the company the money if Mr. Rohn will sign. Personally, I wanted to play the hero, and I knew the company could pay it back, so I signed. Sure enough, within less than a year, they had paid the loan back in full. I was indeed seen as the hero. About a year later, this company got in financial trouble. They went back to the bank and borrowed $250,000 again. I said to myself, I hope my phone doesn't ring, because I won't sign the note this time. I knew they were in trouble. I knew they were probably going to go bankrupt. My phone never rang. I was off the hook. Sure enough, within less than a year the company went bankrupt. They couldn't pay, and I get a letter from the bank saying, Dear Mr. Rohn, since the company cannot perform its obligation and pay this $250,000, and since we have here your personal guarantee, would you please send us your check for $250,000? I thought there must be some mistake. I signed that first note, and they paid it all back. I didn't sign the second note. What I didn't know was that I had originally signed a continuing guarantee. So now I know what the word continuing means. I'm asking you to study a little law, know what to sign, know how to defend yourself. Don't sign too quickly. Be a student. Don't be a lazy learner. You've got to build a library that shows you're a serious student of personal development in all areas. So begin with a few books. Soon, you'll open up a whole new world of fresh ideas. Absorbing and responding. You encounter a plethora of ideas every day, but most of them probably go by unnoticed. That's why you need to develop the ability to absorb. Be like a sponge. Don't miss anything. Don't miss the words. Don't miss the atmosphere. Don't miss the color. Don't miss the scenario. Don't miss what's going on. Most people are just trying to get through the day. Here's what I want you to be. Committed to doing, learn to get from the day. Learn from it. Let the day teach. You. Attend the University of Life. What a difference that will make in your future. Commit yourself to learning. Commit yourself to absorbing. I've got a personal friend who is gifted in this area. I think he soaks up and remembers virtually everything that has ever happened to him. He can tell you vivid stories from his teenage years, where he was, what he did, what he said, what she said, how they felt, the color of the sky, and what was going on that day. And the reason is because he absorbs everything that happens to him. I'm telling you, it's more exciting to have him go to Acapulco and tell you about it than it is to go yourself. He has an extraordinary gift. Wherever he is, he doesn't miss anything. Here's a good phrase for you to jot down. Wherever you are, be there. Be there. To absorb it. Take a picture if you can. Take pictures in your mind, let your soul and heart take pictures. Get it, capture it, absorb it. And don't be causal in getting it. Casualness leads to casualties. Next, learn to respond. Responding means letting life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Let sad things make you sad. Let happy things make you happy. Give in to the emotion. Let the feelings strike you. Our emotions need to be as acknowledged as our intellect. It's important to know how to feel. It's important to know how to respond. It's important to let life in, to let it touch you. I'm the greatest guy in the world to take to the movies. I really get into a good movie. I want it to make me laugh, make me cry, scare me to death, teach me something, take me high, take me low. I just don't want the movie to leave me as I was when I came in. That's what we all need, to have life touch us. And that's exactly what will happen to you when you develop the ability to absorb and respond to all life has to offer. Keeping a journal. If you're serious about becoming a wealthy, powerful, sophisticated, healthy, influential, cultured, and unique individual, keep a journal. Don't trust your memory. When you listen to something valuable, write it down. When you come across something important, write it down. I used to take notes on pieces of paper and torn off corners and backs of old envelopes. I wrote ideas on restaurant placemats and long sheets and narrow sheets and little sheets and pieces of paper thrown in a drawer. Then I found out that the best way to organize those ideas is to keep a journal. I've been keeping these journals since the age of 25. The discipline makes up a valuable part of my own learning, and the journals are a valuable part of my library. I am a buyer of blank books. Kids find it interesting that I would buy a blank book. They say, $26 for a blank book. Why would you pay that? The reason I pay $26 is to challenge myself to find something worth $26 to put in there. All my journals are private. But if you ever got a hold of one of them, you wouldn't have to look very far to discover that it is worth more than $26. I must admit, if you got a glimpse of my journals, you'd have to say that I am a serious student. I'm not just committed to my craft, I'm committed to life. Committed to learning new concepts and skills. I want to see what I can do with seeds and soil and sunshine and rain to turn them into the building blocks of a productive life. Keeping a journal is so important. In fact, I call it one of the 3 treasures to leave behind for the next generation. The first treasure is your pictures. Take a lot of pictures. Don't be lazy in capturing the event. How long does it take to capture the event? A fraction of a second. How long does it take to miss the event? A fraction of a second. So, don't miss the pictures. When you're gone, they'll keep the memories alive. The second treasure is your library. This is the library that taught you, that instructed you, that helped you defend your ideals. It helped you develop a philosophy. It helped you become wealthy, powerful, healthy, sophisticated, and unique. It may have helped you conquer some disease. It may have helped you conquer poverty. It may have caused you to walk away from the ghetto. Your library, the books that instructed you, fed your mind and fed your soul, is one of the greatest gifts you can leave behind. Every book is a stepping stone out of the darkness into the light. The third treasure is your journals, the ideas that you picked up, the information that you meticulously gathered. Journal writing is one of the greatest indications that you're a serious student. Taking pictures, that's pretty easy. Buying a book at a bookstore, that's pretty easy. It is a little more challenging to be a student of your own life, your own future, and your own destiny. Take the time to keep notes and keep a journal. You'll be so glad you did. What a treasure to leave behind when you go. And what a treasure to enjoy today. Reflection, an investment in the future. One of the keys to making the most of ideas is developing the ability to reflect. Reflect means to go back over, to study again. Go back over your notes. Go back over your thoughts. And go back over your day. There are some particularly good times to reflect. One is at the end of the day. Take a few minutes to go back over the day. Whom did you see? What did they say? What happened? How did you feel? What went on? By answering those questions, you capture the day. Every day represents a piece of the mosaic of your life. You need to capture the experience, the knowledge, the sights, the sounds, the panorama, the color, and the emotion, so it will serve you well for the future. Don't miss a day. Then take a few hours at the end of the week to reflect. Go back over your calendar. Go back over your appointment book. Ask yourself the same questions. Where did you go? Whom did you see? How did it feel? What went on? Capture that week. A week is a fairly substantial chunk of time. Next, take half a day at the end of the month to reflect. Follow the same process. Go back over what you read. Go back over what you heard. Go back over what you saw. Go back over your feelings and capture them so that they serve you. Finally, take a weekend at the end of the year to establish the year firmly in your consciousness so that it never disappears. The Old Testament describes a unique scenario that unfolded according to the law. At that time, people worked for 9 years, and the 10th year was a sabbatical. That 10th year was probably used for relaxing, replenishing, getting in shape physically. We would call it a change of pace in modern society. But That was not the only objective for the 10th year. I'm sure that, in ancient days, sabbaticals were used to go over the previous 9 years, to see what went right, and what went wrong, what worked well, and what didn't work well. People would ask themselves, how did I grow? What did I learn? How did I change? What do I have now after 9 years that I didn't have at the beginning? That time for reflection is what makes a sabbatical so effective and meaningful. At times, you'll want to reflect with somebody else. A husband and wife can reflect on the past year together. Parents can reflect with their children. Colleagues can reflect with each other. But you've also got to learn to reflect by yourself. Solitude is a powerful force. We all need to find some occasions to shut out the rest of the world for a while. I've got a motor home and a motorcycle. That's how I find solitude. I head for the mountains and ride the trails where there are very few human beings. Or I go out into the desert somewhere. It's my time to get away. When you live a very public life, you treasure solitude. When I have a chance to reflect alone, I go back over my life, go back over my skills, go back over my experiences. There are some things you need to do alone, such as ponder, think, wonder, read, study, and absorb new ideas. Decide how you can become better this year than you were last year. Enjoy your solitude. Life is full of experiences, touching and seeing and looking and doing and acting, but you're going to lose the lessons of those experiences if you don't take the time to reflect. We can all learn to gather up the past and invest in the future. Gather up today and invest it in tomorrow. Gather up this week and invest it in the next week. Gather up this year and invest it in the next year. Many people simply hang on. One more year. They are just hanging in there, seeing what's going to happen. I am asking you to choose a different path to learn, study, and reflect. This is a major part of personal development, the quest to become better than you are now.
Generating creative ideas. Sometimes, the best ideas can be found in the creative depths of your own mind. These ideas are often reluctant to make an appearance on their own. So, how do you bring them out? You need to develop the ability to brainstorm. What is brainstorming? It's just what it sounds like. You let your mind wander. You free yourself from all inhibitions, objections, and negative thoughts. You just put an idea into your brain and let it take off. You engage in free associating. Instead of planning a train of thought, you think freely. If you're planning a brainstorming session with your colleagues, let me give you a little hint. Effective brainstorming can only happen if you disassociate from your ego. You can't be worried about saying something stupid, or silly, or totally off the wall. Your silly thought may trigger someone else's brain to take it one step further. Brainstorming in a group is an experience of collective thought. It's an experience of developing one idea, or several ideas, through a variety of thought processes. Here's another hint on brainstorming. It can't be effective unless everyone involved is comfortable with each other. If you don't feel comfortable within the group, you may withhold the very thought that provides the solution to the problem. You may withhold it because you don't want to appear stupid. How do you think all the advertisements you see on TV and in the magazines are created? How do you think some of those crazy campaigns are born? The process happens through hours and hours of creative brainstorming. Every member of the team jots down notes, and one idea builds on another idea, and another and another. Pretty soon, a strategy is born out of the collective thoughts of the group. I don't believe that the best decisions are made by committee, but great ideas are often created by committee. Whether you're letting your brain go by itself, or whether you're part of a group, brainstorming can often lead you to solutions. Ones you would never have thought of if you had imposed parameters on your thought processes. If you are brainstorming on your own, envision outlandish solutions. Get your brain out of its rut by considering ideas without considering their practicality. If you allow yourself to think without confinement, you may come across a solution that seems totally inappropriate, but this approach will allow you to open up the process, which will eventually lead to appropriate solutions. Another creative technique for generating ideas is through doodling. Doodling may be something you got in trouble for in grade school, but it's actually quite stimulating to the brain. The way you think while doodling is quite different than the way you think while creating a flow chart or writing a formula. Your doodles may end up looking like a symbol that triggers your brain to think of an alternative solution. Drawing creative doodles wakes up a different part of your brain. And once you awaken that creative part of you, whether it's through group brainstorming, individual brainstorming, or doodling, you'll be amazed at the ideas you'll trigger from the recesses of your mind. Those ideas were always there, but you may never have known how to access them. Once you understand your own potential, this unlimited source is yours for the asking. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.